Watch this.
Ahead for you on this Thursday edition of the 208. The Kuna community is coming together for a teenager that was hit by a drunk driver. The teen isn't even from Kuna. Still, he's one of theirs. Ahead, why they're giving all they can. The year 2023 has included a large collection of lawsuits over laws in the Gem State. On Idaho's bathroom law, the provisions are currently paused, but Idaho's Attorney General is making a case for a federal court to reconsider.
This need for connection between human beings.
The combination of working together creates hope.
He's what we think Idaho should be.
We met a lot of great people with incredible stories from across the 208 this year. Ahead on the program, we have a very special look at the people that make the 208 so special. A Nampa family is holding each other very tight this time of year. A pickup truck hit their 17-year-old son, Gabriel Bird, head-on in Kuna this past Monday. The family estimates it happened just after 9 p.m. that night. Public records show that Chad Lee Sizemore is charged with 2 felonies for the wreck, both for a driving under the influence and for leaving the scene charge. But at a time when Gabriel was nearly killed and abandoned, the community response showed he was never alone. Andrew Bartline explains why.
The blending of 2 families brings a whole new meaning to a full house.
I've got the fur babies, the pig and the dog. Good girl.
That's a lot to love on its own.
I know.
But nothing compared to the children. Terry and Monique started dating no more than a year ago. Terry quickly learned Monique was part of a package deal.
I fell in love with her, fell in love with the kids, and as you can see, now this is my whole life.
A life that's quickly changed and continues to change with every phone call.
I'm sorry, guys.
These days, each ring could be an emergency, ever since she got the first.
The worst phone call as a parent, you don't ever want to hear that your son has been in a terrible accident.
17-year-old Gabriel Bird. He was riding his motorcycle to Grandma's house in Kuna when a pickup truck hit him.
It was a DUI, so, intoxicated.
Now mom's hanging on every syllable of every call.
Any news out of that?
No, well, they just need permission to give him anesthesia and knock him out. Again, so.
Gabriel survived the wreck.
By the grace of God, he does not have any head, neck, or back injury.
But his knees, hands, even toes all depend on reconstructive surgery. Ring doorbell cameras caught it all on video.
This truck swerved into his lane and then hit him head on, right? And then he hit the ground and he thought he was dying because he has his helmet on and he just started bleeding from his nose and screaming for help, and he's on the ground and he's alone and he was scared. And
Monique saw that recording.
Yeah, the worst part, again, was just that the guy didn't stay to help him.
A hit and run.
If the ring can pick up my son screaming, that meant that this guy could hear him.
It was loud.
And now heard all around town.
Never saw any brake lights was the other thing that I kind of noticed. Let's see if somebody starts doing something, and if they don't, let's.
Brian McBee started a fundraiser.
Quite a few businesses have all offered without us approaching them.
Creating a community-wide raffle to cover a fraction of the cost.
I mean, it's been...
And they don't even live there.
We don't.
No, we don't. Go Kuna.
This time of year, we focus on the good stuff and who we love the most. And for the kid who's fighting his way back into a packed house back home, he's only got one wish this Christmas.
And he said, the one thing I want is that people are aware of how serious it is. It's not just a good time or whoops. This is, it's bigger than that.
The Kuna Community Raffle, led by the bookshop. That is on December 26th from 4 to 7 p.m. That will be at Kuna's Book Habit. People have been randomly dropping by that bookstore as well to drop off items and donate to that fundraiser. We've also learned, Joe, that this is not the first DUI that Mr. Sizemore's been charged with. He led to a plea agreement on a previous DUI charge last winter is when the agreement was, but it was last calendar year. So it was about 14 months ago when that case was wrapped up. And then fast forward again to today, he's charged with the same mistake and nearly killed a kid.
Well, that's a tragic story and a very avoidable situation, but to see the reaction from the people of Kuna, and you could see the family's reaction too, where they say, yeah, we don't even live there, go Kuna.
Yeah.
It really does show how interconnected the Treasure Valley is, and I know it may just be a talking point and you may be in a different mood around the holiday season, but it is true and it is unique to this area.
Yeah, it was cool to see that they felt touched by that a little bit. When Grandma lives in Kuna, they're in Nampa, and people on that Facebook page saw it and they wanted to help out.
Well, best wishes to everybody in that family, and of course, a happy holidays. I hope the recovery goes quickly. Any word on that?
It seems like, there's nothing to his neck, his head, his back seems okay too. So like all the major areas seem to be all right, but hands, knees, even toes, it seems there's going to be some serious surgeries, Joe.
Certainly a road to recovery. All right, Andrew Bartline reporting for us. Thanks, Andrew. Well, through 2023, we have brought you updates on a collection of Idaho court cases. Abortion laws have been a big one, the related abortion trafficking law, of course, the laws covering transgender health care for minors. Another one, though, still wrapped up in the courts, the so-called bathroom bill, now law. And that law mandates that Idaho public schools be required to maintain bathrooms and changing rooms on the basis of biological sex, and that is the sex of a person that they were assigned at birth. If they don't follow this, Idaho schools face possible civil fines. Yeah, civil fines. So that means that the law allows a person who encounters someone of the opposite sex in a public school bathroom, locker room, or sleeping quarters, they can sue the school district for $5,000 for each individual instance they say this happened. The law requires every facility accessible by more than one person at the same time to be designated for male persons only or female persons only, according to biological sex. And as it stands, the law is waiting for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to make a final ruling. And back in October, the Ninth Circuit reversed a lower court decision here in Idaho. They decided that the law should remain paused or blocked while courts are making their final rulings. But this week, we are seeing arguments that are being submitted to the Ninth Circuit Court from Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador, along with some partner attorneys that are party to the case. In part, the brief argues that neither the Constitution nor federal law grants a right to use opposite-sex intimate facilities or prohibits states from maintaining sex-specific facilities. Labrador and his team also argues that overall, the plaintiffs' legal theories lack merit on Title IX arguments, privacy claims, and equal protections. Courts will weigh the brief coming up in a few weeks, but Idaho's bathroom, the bathroom law, I should say, it does remain paused at this point in time. Okay, it's a busy Thursday as we approach the holiday weekend, and we've got some big things to cover. The prosecution in the case against Brian Kohberger, they visited the King Road house today up in North Idaho, possibly for the last time before it's demolished. Among other things, Shira Matsuzawa has got the 411 on the 208.
The prosecution in the case against suspect Brian Kohberger went to the King Road house today, where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered last November. The University of Idaho said the prosecution didn't tell them what they were going to do during the visit. The university now owns the house. It's supposed to be demolished next week to, quote, decrease further impact on students living in the neighborhood. A small 2.9 earthquake hit northwest of Salmon just before 9 this morning. The United States Geological Survey says its depth was about 10 miles below the surface. We haven't heard of any injuries or damages. Ridge to Rivers wants to remind you to make good trail choices this season. That includes staying off of muddy trails. They said darker soil trails like Sweet Connie and Cobb Trail will probably stay muddy today, so use sandier and all-weather trails like Holes Gulch and Rocky Canyon Road. Check out the interactive map before you head out. If you're headed out for the holidays, the Boise Airport says today and tomorrow are peak days for travel. This is what lines looked like at 10 this morning. BOI expects 16,000 passengers to come through this holiday. After Christmas, the busiest days will probably be December 26th, 28th, and 29th. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Shira Matsuzawa.
People we've met this year, so many unique stories and experiences. Ahead, we're taking a very special look at the people we've met in 2023. Someone we should try to meet in 2024, or a story we should catch up with? Maybe final thoughts on 2023 or today's show? Whatever it is, send us a text message. Here's our number, 208-321-5614. Please be sure to include your name and hashtag the 208. We'll get to some of these live at the end of the show. Well, if you sit back and think about it, what really makes Idaho, Idaho? Well, we think it's the people. Yeah, we love the vast mountain ranges and the beautiful flowing rivers, but we think it's the individuals with unique stories that really set the 208 apart. And who we love to showcase here on the 208 is the people of the 208. That's why we call it the 208 after all. And boy, do we meet some really great people this year. Many of them made us laugh, some raise an eyebrow, a few made us even cry. Today, Kevin Esslinger put together a very special look at the people we met in 2023.
A lot has been made about what it means to be an Idahoan.
Break the orange and blue.
From your point of origin
Farsi, yeah.
to your perspective.
A graduate art school project run amok.
What we found, it doesn't really have much to do with either of those things.
How insignificant we are as human beings on this planet.
In 2023, we met several artists like Scott Yarnell.
So this is a material called alucobond.
The builder of Boise's Pale Blue Dot structure scaling sculpture.
This need for connection between human beings. That's why we need to remember that we have more in common than we do, that divides us basically.
And Boris Garabian.
Oh, I love Idaho landscape.
A refugee from the Soviet Union.
You have the mountains, you have the rivers, you have the lakes.
Who found refuge in his art.
It's a feeling open. It's open area, It's like ocean. You can see ocean, it's open.
And recently opened his first gallery in Meridian.
Oh, it's something here inside told me you have to pay.
I come here and the refugee talk.
And we met other artists who are inspired by each other.
The shoulder.
The classes last 3 hours, but what they take away lasts a lot longer.
Connection, healthy connections.
Which is why they call themselves Artisans for Hope.
The combination of working together creates hope.
Hope, we found,
class of 23.
Yes.
With Midvale's graduating class.
How many are graduating with you?
8.
Just 8?
Just 8. 4 girls and 4 boys.
And Boise's grand graduating class of 528.
Do you know everybody?
I would say I recognize majority of the people, could put a name on probably over half.
In facing our future,
I think we've kind of have found this middle ground.
We also learned from our past.
The shame and the humiliation of being incarcerated because of what you look like. It has to be absolutely devastating.
From those who don't want to let go of it just yet.
When you have the 300-seat theater and it's full, and something happens on the screen, the people do this, or they just laughing and stuff. It's just fun to watch the audience reactions.
I wonder how many people from the highway here noticed this.
That dichotomy was on display with the animals we met, too.
They seem to know what they're doing.
Those ospreys building for the next generation in Eagle.
We've seen a lot of construction in Ada County in the last few years, and this is probably one of the nicer ones for us, you know.
And that fish, just one fish returned to redfish.
You're just one fish.
They called him Lonesome Larry, which was almost the last generation, but brought back an entire species.
We're glad to see him back, and hopefully some others.
From way back.
And he was the catalyst that certainly brought an awful lot of attention to the plight of Redfish Lake sockeye.
What about way, way back?
So he's just a little long-tailed, dog-sized dinosaur.
We met the newest state symbol, thanks to some of our youngest Idahoans.
And that is a bunch of fourth graders.
Fourth graders who lobbied legislators and wrote letters.
In their very, very best handwriting and their very best English, they stated why the state of Idaho needed a state dinosaur.
I live in Bonneville County, which is where the dinosaur Eryctodromeus was discovered.
We met oddballs.
It's going to get real weird over here.
With giant eyeballs.
My dad contacted me and said, hey, do you need this big ocean buoy? And I was like, absolutely. I knew right away I was going to make a giant eyeball.
And those...
Does anybody know the fight song?
With great lungs.
Nobody seemed to know the words very well.
Some of us did. Certainly some of us will never forget them after singing it for 24 hours.
Even 20 years later.
Go Big Blue! Go Orange! Go Big Blue!
To be an Idahoan...
The record before was 64. My goal was 100.
Sometimes means you're unable to sit still.
I hit kind of a wall around 30 jumps or so.
But it also means...
And I was alone, and Harry Potter was on TV.
You're just as comfortable on the couch.
And I pulled out the chips, and I pulled this one out, and I went, wow, this looks really a lot like the state of Idaho.
We met some of Idaho's oldest...
I don't mind telling my age now.
Who also happened to be...
That's me, with my friend. We used to fly together quite a bit.
Some Gem State originals, like what 105-year-old Elaine McCallie did 83 years ago, becoming the first woman in Idaho...
Has commercial pilot's license.
...to get a commercial pilot's license.
The first one.
That's what they told me, so I don't know. I guess I did.
We learned about some of Idaho's other firsts.
The first computers in Boise City.
This was the very first time I ever touched a computer.
Go! And even some of our seconds. Come on, guys! In a turd herding contest.
So you're number 2.
Unfortunately, this time I was number 2.
But that's fitting.
Right.
And some
probably get distracted, be like, why is there a train there?
Who were just fine bringing up the rear.
It is expensive yard art.
While we certainly met a lot of interesting Idahoans in 2023, we also said goodbye to a few. If you saw Larry Gebert or Jim Duthie out on a live shot somewhere, you likely saw Teresa there too. Like one of our own, photographer Teresa Palmgren. She would probably be the nicest person you ran into that day. And one of our most respected state leaders.
Order! Arms!
A small man, but a big heart.
Former Governor Phil Batt.
He's what we think Idaho should be.
Idaho's champion of civil rights.
There won't be another one. There will never be another Phil Batt, ever.
Passed away on his 96th birthday.
What are you going to remember most?
You know, his kindness. It made you feel good. He always made you feel like you were part of the family. And that was special.
Hey, tuck it in the back.
Bus Hudson's family?
Your hands are cold.
No, they're not.
They celebrated his 100th birthday in April.
Dad, this is Tim, the chaplain.
Only to say goodbye to the World War II veteran.
I was a cowboy in an Army uniform, but I'll tell you one thing, I was a damn good soldier.
Just 3 months later.
I didn't even know what I was doing.
There's no better way to wrap up a year or what it means to be an Idahoan than what we learned from those we met.
You know, they say that time really flies when you're having fun. We must have had a hell of a lot of fun because time sure got away with us.
Why we need to remember that we have more in common than we do, that divides us basically.
That's a message that we can continue to take into the new year. A huge thank you to everyone who we got to know this year. And to all of you who watch the 208, text us, write in, email in, and those of you who trust us with your news, we're so happy to bring it to you just before 5 o'clock every single weekday. And we're excited to see who we meet in 2024. We'll be right back.
Starting out for this evening, of course, we still have the fog and the low clouds around the valley. Visibility will be lowering for tonight as well as tomorrow morning. We got another night where all this happens to be coming our way. We do have a change, though. There's a frontal system tomorrow afternoon. It'll cause probably some breezy conditions on Saturday, if not seeing that later tomorrow night. And also possibility of a rain shower. So the inversion is fairly weak, and I anticipate it basically to be moved out. It could reform again early next week, okay? But it's going to basically stick around at this particular point until about tomorrow afternoon. If you look here at the satellite, you'll notice that we have basically clear conditions, but we do have a storm here to the north. But it is starting to take a little farther northerly route. Earlier, it was an anticipation of some showers down here from the valley. And if you look, we're going to take the futurecast and just show you for later tomorrow afternoon as that front comes in. There's some scattered showers around the area, maybe even some light snow that we could see tomorrow night. And I think that's what's going to clear it out. And it leaves us with some sunshine that's going to be coming into the area on Saturday. So here's how it looks. You see there's a chance of some showers later tomorrow afternoon into the evening and very early Sunday morning that could even end up as some light snow. But not a lot to cover the ground. If there is, it's not hanging around much. We're going to be getting above freezing. We're dry from that point on for Sunday, Monday, going into next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Also with this, since it's dry, looks like travel conditions, especially on the second half, looks like it's going to be very clear, but watch out if you're moving through mountain passes later tomorrow night and into early Saturday morning.
Okie doke, folks, let's take a look at some of your comments on the show. This person says, the bathroom bill, Idaho Republicans are all for local control as long as those at the local level have conservative beliefs. That's from David in Boise. And on the other side of that debate, this person says, nice to hear Idaho is standing strong in regards to the bathroom bill. Reality is fact. That's from San Mateo. Some other comments we have here. This person says, what is happening with Amtrak coming through Boise from Portland to Salt Lake? That's from Sonia. Sonia, that is something we're going to have to follow in 2024. Still being discussed. I know that the city of Denver was trying to make some traction on that too. So hopefully that impacts that as well. Chris answered our question, who should we meet with in 2024? Meet with the Pope. Chris, that would be a great person for us to meet with, especially for Andrew's story that we touched on. These people loved the end year special, and Susan sent in a really nice holiday gift card there. So we'll see everybody tomorrow.